The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondell. I could not be more honored to have my guest tonight. You've seen him for years touring as a stand-up comedian. He won Last Comic Standing and was a finalist on America's Got Talent, not just once, but also this past week on AGT All-Stars. So welcome to the show, Josh Blue. Thanks, Josh, for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We both have something in common. I kind of want to start with this, but you grew up in Minnesota like myself. So, up in Minnesota, we kind of have our own language. And one of the things I noticed is that when you perform, I haven't heard that Minnesota accent. So did you constantly try to get rid of it, or did you just never have it?
Yeah, I've always just kind of sound like a Southern California surfer dude. I don't know. I never that stink never stuck on me, that Minnesota accent. Oh, don't you know? You betcha.
Yeah, I say things like oofta. People don't know what I'm talking about.
Oofta. Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Robbinsdale, New Hope, Crystal area, the northwest suburbs of Minneapolis.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, just coming from there, it's, obviously it's cold. And I know you live in Colorado now, but how is it living in Colorado? Because I know that, performing and people recognize you, I'm sure, a lot. Is it kind of a nice kind of retreat maybe to get back to Colorado when you're not performing and you're not in LA and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, my whole career I've lived in Denver, so this is home. This is where I started. So if anything, I'm a bigger star here than anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it's home, so it's me in the grocery store, and people go, "Hey, good to see you in the neighborhood." It's more like,
Yeah.
I also get like, "Hey, I didn't know you did your own shopping." Like, yeah, I gotta eat too, guys.
Yeah. I don't know much about Denver, but is that a big place for comedy?
Yeah, people don't realize this. Denver is, I'd say, one of the top 5 comedy cities in the country.
Really?
I'd say we're up there, maybe right after Chicago.
Wow.
We have 3 comedy clubs here, and then the indie scene is huge. So pretty much you could perform 2 shows a night in Denver at all the different venues. I mean, there's always shows going on. And my favorite club in the world is here. It's the Denver Comedy Works downtown, and it's one of the top clubs in the nation. I would say top 3 easily. A lot of comics come here just to work out. And I mean, I've done probably 60 shows with Chappelle at the Comedy Works.
Oh, wow.
Like it's one of those places where the comics love it, and that's where they love to go. It's not a huge venue, but it's just set up perfect for stand-up. So.
Well, that's one thing I was going to ask you with all the performing that you've done. I mean, obviously you've been on massive stages and also intimate stages. And, I think some comics prefer the intimacy of a small group, I guess, or a small house. I mean, what is your preference when you perform?
I mean, they both have their perks. Like I said, that Comedy Works is like just the perfect size setup. So, I mean, you can't really compare that to anything else. But then when you get to play in a 3,000 seat venue, that's a different kind of exhilarating, and it's just like a different energy. But I would say like a smaller house, say you have 350 people in a room, you're bound to have one heckler. If you play a room of 3,000, you're going to have 20 hecklers,
right.
So just kind of it's more of a juggling game. The bigger you get, the more dumbasses you have to handle.
That's true. So how do you handle hecklers? That's one of the questions I actually have on here. How do you handle a heckler?
I actually enjoy it. A lot of comics don't, but I like to show you that I'm not messing around. Like,
right.
You give me a reason to mess you up, I'm going to mess you up, man. Like, I'm not going to ever go after you without probable cause, but if you give me a reason to destroy you, I relish the moment. Like, that's my favorite, because I can tell jokes that I know that I'm going to do, but when you give me the opportunity to go off the cuff and like interact with you in the moment, to me, that shows the audience that this is the real deal,
Yeah, right.
and people love it when you verbally bitch slap somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's I've seen a lot of different hecklers. I mean, some people, I suppose, when they serve alcohol, I mean, it tends to have more hecklers than venues that don't, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think heckling is a misunderstood art form. I think that people think it's mean spirited, but like 98% of the time, it's just a drunk person trying to help.
Right.
They think they're helping in some way, where in fact they don't have any clue
What they're
where
talking
they
about.
are. Yeah, exactly. But it just leaves the door open for me to have
Yeah.
fun with your dumbass.
So how about growing? I mean, when you were growing up, I mean, were you the class clown? I mean, when did comedy really start for you?
I've always just had this gift of being funny. Yeah, I was the class clown, and you know, I have cerebral palsy. I think obviously people will know me, but for your listeners that don't know me, when you grow up with a disability, I was actually one of the first disabled kids to go through public school with a disability. So
Wow.
I was actually in special education until the fourth grade, and
Mhm.
then they're like, "Hey, we better let this guy loose on the world because
Yeah.
he's smarter than these other dumb kids.
Yeah.
Might as well give him a chance." So there definitely was a window there for me to get away with murder because, you know, they never had a disabled kid in the room before, but let alone one that was a real smartass and quick-witted. You know,
Yeah. I saw something, I think, on AGT where you mentioned that the teachers couldn't even be mad at you because you were so funny.
right? I mean, I made the teachers laugh for sure. Uh, but it was more of like them just not knowing. They had never taught a disabled kid before. It wasn't that I was stupid, it was just the fact that I didn't do it the same way that they were used to teaching it. I
Yeah.
would just get to the answer a different way. So, my mom was a huge advocate for me, and she'd go down to the school a lot and make the teachers cry, you
Yeah.
know.
I personally think that there needs to be more in-service training for teachers and educators, to help, special education kids I think if they were taught themselves, how to handle situations, I think would be a
Right.
better education system. I
I
know.
1000% agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just having enough trouble getting any teachers at all to be a teacher anymore. So
Yeah.
it's an
True.
uphill battle on a lot of fronts.
I know since it's COVID, it's a lot changed. And speaking of COVID, do you think that because there was a couple years there where there wasn't any performing or nobody could go to a theater, nobody could go to a club, and did that affect you as a comedian? Number one, and number two, do you think that now that we're kind of out of that, do you think that people need a laugh now more than ever, where they're going out in droves more than they were even before COVID?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changed the framework of what stand-up was. And for me, the truth of the matter is I've been doing 200 shows a year for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and it was like such an abrupt shock to my lifestyle, my situation. But it was like so needed. Like I actually, after the initial shock, was like, oh, this is nice not to be on a plane
Yeah.
every 3 days and just like racking my brain. Like I love performing more than anything, pretty much. But it was also like a good reboot for me. And then, then they started doing these virtual shows, like Zoom shows, which,
Right.
in my humble opinion, is the death of comedy.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I kind of was baby about it for 2 weeks of trying it. And then I said, you know what? Who knows how long this is going to last? You better become really good at this form of
Yeah.
comedy. And I
Exactly.
embraced it and I became really good at like doing that stuff. And it was interesting to push myself to learn a new way of delivering the jokes or connecting with the audience that you can only see one audience member at a time and they're muted so you can't hear their laughter,
Right.
which
Yeah.
again I feed off the laughter. That's huge for me.
Yeah.
So but once I got a hang of it, then I started getting booked on these corporate events. And so I was still making money during COVID just because I embraced it. I was like, this is the new reality.
Yeah.
And then as it went on, there were places like Florida and Texas that didn't give a shit about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then, I would go there, and again, it would be half audience, but somehow I was making the same money and just as much, and I came out on the other side of the pandemic, uh, way further ahead than when I went in somehow, which that didn't
Yeah.
happen for many people. But I also had America's Got Talent in there, so that
Yeah.
was a big skyrocket boost for my career.
How did AGT approach you? I mean, did you audition traditionally, or did they have producers approach you on that?
Yeah, because I won Last Comic Standing, I never dreamed of like
Yeah.
auditioning for another show. That was not even on my radar. They
Yeah.
came to me, they found my video, and this dry bar thing, I just did I mean, I nailed it. I mean, it's got like 40 million views or something.
Wow.
Um, so AGT producers saw me on there. They came to me, and I'm like, you guys are familiar that I already won a reality show on your channel before. They're like, yeah,
Right.
we know. That was 16 years ago. Let's hit a
Yeah.
new audience. And I'm like, okay. So I went for it, and what an amazing ride that was. Again, reality shows are what they are. It's
Yeah.
kind of I won't say it's contrived, but
Yeah.
they make what happens happen.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's rigged, but it's definitely
Yeah.
you know they have some control in the direction. But
All right.
I got third place, which to me
That's
is
amazing. It's amazing.
amazing. And it's even, I think third is almost better than
Yeah.
any other position because I wasn't contractually obligated to do anything for them. I could just tour on my own. So
Right. You still
it's
have
been
that
a
notoriety. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just what a great ride, and we all just, I mean, I've enjoyed your work for years, even like I said, way back, and Last Comic Standing, I've been following you for years, and just really enjoy your comedy, and I guess one of the questions that I did have though, because of your fame, your growing fame, still, what do your kids think of that? I mean, your notoriety. I mean, what are their thoughts on that?
They're not fans.
No,
Yeah. The truth of the matter is I've been in the limelight ever since they were born. So this is
right?
just me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They don't, you know,
they're used to it.
they, yeah,
Yeah,
they support me on AGT, but that was the joke in my house. Like when I was on the first time I was on AGT, they're like, you did good, Dad, but I'm voting for the singer. Like, okay,
wow.
thanks, guys. Yeah, we
Oh
like her
man,
better. And that obviously they're a product of being my children, so I
your
deserve,
dad. Yeah.
yeah, I deserve that, for sure.
That's funny. The other thing is we have a lot of artists that listen to our show, and at one point in every show, I always ask my guests for what their one piece of advice would be for somebody just getting started, that maybe is close to kind of giving up, and maybe it's not working out, but they need a little of inspiration. So, what kind of advice can you give somebody like that's just getting started out?
Yeah, usually my advice in that situation is go ahead and give up, man. I got this covered. We don't need any more
We don't need any
comics.
more.
Yeah, I'm doing the work for you. If you're worried about it, obviously you don't have it. So
Yeah, yeah.
go ahead and quit.
That's
Nah,
inspiring.
yeah. I mean, basically what I'm saying is stop being a little bitch and do it. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
that's awesome.
I mean, that's the thing about it is like with stand up, well, let's just face it, with anything that you want to do that you take seriously, you're gonna have obstacles, you're gonna have hard times. But if you really want to do it, then just do it and don't be deterred by whatever it is. If you truly love the thing, then you shouldn't be
Yeah.
turned away so easily.
Yeah, true. Very true. That's great advice. And then before we go here, I always ask this question as well, but when it's all said and done, Josh, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to think about when they think of Josh Blue?
I want to leave my stain on the planet, man. You know, I just recorded my 5th hour special, which is pretty amazing
Yeah.
for, I've been doing it 20 years. So, you know, 5-hour specials and one CD and one music CD. So I just want to keep making stand-up comedy until I die, basically. I want you to look back on my body of work and go, wow, that guy was amazing. He delivered, he was consistent, and ultimately he made a difference in the world for not just the disabled community, but for humanity across the board of just bringing joy and happiness and not taking no for an answer. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's such a great legacy, and I appreciate the time that you spent with us today on the show, and wish you nothing but success, going forward. Again, you've had so much success, but again, you just, the sky's the limit for you. We're big fans, and just wish the best for you. And again, thank you for taking the time today, Josh.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and having me on and let me get my word out there. And like you said, this is just the beginning. I've done a lot of stuff, but I have a big future ahead of me. That's how I feel about it, and I just look forward to bringing happiness and laughter to the world.
And you're doing that for sure. So thanks again, Josh. And best of luck on the tour. I know you're on
Thank you,
tour
man.
right now, and best of luck on the rest of your tour.
Yeah, well, if you're listening, make sure you check me out. I'm all over. I mean, 200 shows a year. I'm back on that path. So I will be in a city near you soon.
Then joshblue.com, is that your website?
Yeah, joshblue.com. And if you want to follow me on social, it's just Josh Blue Comedy on all platforms.
All right. So there you go, listeners. Again, thank you for listening tonight. And for Josh Blue, again, just thank you again for your time.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.